All right, so we have some Panthers news to discuss. Teddy Bridgewater, is he going to be on the move? Is he going to stay?
I mean, he better be on the move at this point.
So reports are the 49ers are interested in Teddy Bridgewater, but now it seems like the Panthers may be having some cold feet.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't just the 49ers. Apparently, a few teams have called about trading for Teddy, and Carolina is kind of, shying away from moving him right now. Um, and it goes back, Teddy Bridgewater's in Carolina because, Matt Rule and Joe Brady, that's their guy. That's who they wanted to bring in. Joe Brady worked with them in New Orleans for a year. And they kicked Cam to the curb pretty unceremoniously,
Right.
and they needed a replacement. And they, they know Teddy. They're familiar with him, and so they brought him in to kind of be a stopgap quarterback. And then it started off great, right? Everybody loved Teddy. I mean that's not any kind of surprise. Everywhere he's gone, people have had nothing but great things to say about him as a person, and
Right.
a teammate. And things started off well enough with the team for the season, and then it just kind of started going downhill. His play was deteriorating. I mean, obviously they have issues with the O line and the defense and everything, but his own play was going downhill as well towards the end of the season. And there was just this weird kind of sniping back and forth between him and Rule in public. They're kind of blaming each other for collapses in games or not getting it done.
Right.
And and in the off season, I mean, obviously they've been out there, they've been pretty aggressive in terms of talking to other quarterbacks, and they're connected to Deshaun Watson, and they met with Dwayne Haskins, and there was a rumor that they were going to talk to Mitchell Trubisky, and they're kind of weighing their options. They were in on Matt Stafford. But also with the team, like their social media accounts, they kind of cut Teddy out of posts that they would make. They
Right.
just feature other people, not the quarterback for whatever reason.
Right.
And then he removed all the references to the Panthers from his social media, which 100% of the time means he's gone, right?
Yep.
But it just seems they've been kind of openly disrespectful to Teddy.
Yes.
And in their pursuit of getting a replacement, and just kind of the way they talk. Like, it's not like, oh, I hate Teddy, but just the way they say things kind of gives you that that impression that they have a real dislike for him at this point, and they just don't want him around.
Right. There's a couple of things to unpack from this. One, they're continuing that history of mistreating their players, right? They're good players, good to great players. And this went back to the old regime, right? You didn't handle Julius Peppers correctly, right?
Yeah.
You didn't handle Cam. Well, I mean, this is a new
Steve
regime.
Smith.
Steve Smith, you didn't handle
Jordan
well.
Gross.
Yeah. D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton was the latest one. And
Greg Olsen too. I mean, it wasn't as bad, but they kind of slandered him on his way out the door.
Yeah. So that's one. And the second thing is, the new regime is showing me that they really don't know what they're doing in terms of how to handle players. Because, like you said, Teddy Bridgewater is well respected around the league, right? He's well liked. He's well respected. Nobody has anything bad to say about him. And all of a sudden, you're the ones that are out there, kind of having, this back and forth with him. That just seems odd, right?
Right.
And you just handled the Cam situation poorly. And Cam was just on he was on that podcast, I Am Athlete, right? Very good podcast. You need to check that out. He kind of touched on that a little bit, how they just it kind of caught him off guard, how they just released him. Yeah, people take notice of that. And now you had Teddy Bridgewater, where, I mean, it started from the season, right? They're kind of, him and the coach are kind of going back and forth a little bit. And now you're doing this petty stuff of, leading them off of media stuff. And, He's not following you. And, it's petty, but it goes to show that you don't know how to handle your top players,
Yeah.
right? And look, you can say what you want about Teddy Bridgewater's play. He was your starting quarterback, so now it's obvious you got to get rid of him, right? He doesn't want to play there anymore. You don't want him there anymore. You made it clear, and you have teams that are seeing this stuff and saying, okay, what do you want from him? And you're like, well, hold on a second. I don't know if we want to get rid of him because I don't know if we can get another quarterback to replace him.
Yeah.
That's bad business.
Yeah, and it goes back to last offseason as well, when Matt Rule came in, and nobody really had any idea what the Panthers were doing. Right? It was a rebuild, and then it wasn't, and Cam was staying, and then he wasn't. Nobody really knew what was going on, and it seems like a continuation of that. And you kind of want to give them the benefit of the doubt of, hey, maybe they're just they're not trying to let anything leak out, right? They don't want to let people know what they're doing. But I think it's just that they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Because, okay, you decided you wanted to move on from Teddy and you don't have any idea who you want to move on to. Like, okay, you're in on Deshaun Watson. You're going to do everything it takes to get Deshaun Watson. Why'd you make an offer for Matt Stafford then?
Right. Yeah, because they can say we'll do whatever it takes, but right now Houston's saying they're not going to budge, right? So that's a waiting game, and maybe they are the front runners, right? Maybe when Houston eventually breaks, they will go back to Carolina and say, okay, we'll do that deal. But no team wants to wait around, right? No team wants to wait around to see how that's going to play out. Like, you want to have that taken care of now. So I think, yeah, they saw Stafford out there and they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe Stafford won't cost as much. Let's go in on him. We can settle for Stafford. All right, I can understand that, but you didn't get it done. You didn't get Carson Wentz, right? And now you're all in on Trubisky. Hey, that might be who you end up with. You're all in on Deshaun Watson, but now Houston's like, well, we're not trading him right now. So yes, they're hesitant because they don't know what they're going to ask in return for Deshaun Watson. So I'm sure it's one of those things where, well, maybe we might need Bridgewater for the trade, or we don't get him and we have to draft a quarterback and we need Bridgewater to kind of bridge that gap, so to speak. I don't know.
I think it's more like, because, if it was just that, why are you meeting with Dwayne Haskins also, right? So yeah. I think it's more of, they don't know how to deal with players. Like you said before, they don't know how to deal with players. And I think that, maybe they were caught a little off guard with Teddy being upset with them. Yeah. And so they were like, oh my God, he figured out that we don't want him. Now we got to figure out what we're doing here. Right. I
totally expect that from a college coach, man. Rule didn't do a bad job this year, but I expect those type of things to happen from a college coach. In college, you have all the power, and you go from college, and especially if it's successful, and you go from college to the pros, and you're dealing with grown men that don't have to listen to you, right? They don't have to listen to you. You have to earn their respect. It's an adjustment period, and I think we're kind of seeing a little bit of, Matt Rule's immaturity in terms of how to deal with grown men.
Yeah. And so now you're in a situation where he knows you don't want him. He probably doesn't want to be back. You're publicly, saying you'll do whatever it takes to get Deshaun Watson. Other teams are calling you up. But you don't know that you're going to get Deshaun Watson. So you're kind of, not wanting to make those deals because you might need Teddy for next year. And it's just a bad deal all around. Yeah. Because even at this point, you can't even be certain that you'll get a quarterback in the draft at 8. Right. The top 4 quarterbacks may be gone before your pick.
Right.
And so there's a realistic chance that they could end up with Teddy Bridgewater and nobody else at the quarterback spot in 2021. Yeah. And I just don't see that really playing out well for the organization as a whole next year.
Yeah. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is a professional, right? If you're just straight up with him and say, hey, listen, we love you, right? But we kind of want to get one of these younger quarterbacks, or we want to go another direction at quarterback, but we still want you here, especially if you're looking to draft a quarterback. hey, we want you here to bridge the gap between now and by the time he's ready to start. Exactly what Al Smith did for Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. There is no hard feelings there. As soon as they drafted Mahomes, Al Smith said, no, I completely get it. I understand. They're going to let me, play out this year, and I'm going to, build my resume, and, there's no hard feelings. That's how you're supposed to handle it.
Yeah.
And, they handled it as, oh, well, this guy's trash. We don't really want him here. Oh, wait a minute. We might have to hold on to him though. So if the scenario that you said plays out and they have to roll out there next year, like how's that going to work? Because he already doesn't have the respect of the coach.
Right. Yeah, because it's a situation where they're kind of saying it's fine to disrespect this guy because he fell out of favor with me and I don't really want him anymore.
Yeah.
But you didn't stop to think that you might still need him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if they don't get Deshaun Watson, my hope was draft Trey Lance at 8 and let him sit for a year.
Yeah.
But like I said, how is that going to work when you have a quarterback and a coach who don't get along and aren't seeing eye to eye? The coach doesn't want the quarterback there. The quarterback probably doesn't want to be there. It's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so far in the Tepper era, I'm not at all impressed with how he's running the organization.